Just tell me about your memories of that day when the floods hit Tewkesbury.
Well, the thing is, it just came all of a sudden. 'Cause on the car park to start with, there was a little bit of water down the bottom. Then a few days later, the whole car park was completely underwater.
And when you say underwater, how deep was it?
Well, there was a mark on the door which was about up to about there on the old hut I had there before, but it's gone now. So, and we were literally, I bought a flat round the corner there, and we literally waded in and out knee deep to get in and out of our flats.
Okay, so I mean, what sort of change to your life immediately happened? What did you have to do to, resolve the situation?
Well, just tried to carry on as normal, and basically there was nothing to do because I couldn't come to work because obviously the car park was underwater. So what I did most of the time was, because there was water things around, people was going to get bottles of water, so I basically, to keep myself occupied, I went and got water for the old ladies that live over there, plus the old ladies that live down the road there.
And just tell me about some of the shops that you saw. What did they look like? Because some were quite badly flooded.
Oh, some of the shops inside were like carpets, and I mean, especially the bakery over the road there, the restaurant over the road there, that was virtually a write-off for about a year and a half till it was all put right.
It was the worst nightmare ever. We couldn't get back to Sledge Green. Everywhere was flooded. Police were turning us back.
So we've heard from people who've been affected in Tewkesbury and that their houses and shops were flooded out. Now let's look at some of the equipment that Richfords uses to deal with premises such as those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a bit of a range of the equipment here that typically people might expect to see in properties after flooding. I suppose we'll start with the most obvious, which would be the refrigerant dehumidifiers here. They come in various sizes. You see a larger one down the back there. And this is really sort of the backbone of our industry in many respects. It's a high capacity dehumidifier, obviously helps reduce the humidity in a property and start to get it dried out after a flooding event. The other thing that customers might see, as well as those though, are these smaller red units, which are known as a desiccant dehumidifier. They produce very, very dry air that we use with some of the specialist drying systems we've mentioned, such as injection drying and envelope drying, which is designed for saving more building elements such as plasterboard, plaster ceilings, and those sorts of things. In fact, we've got a little run of the injection drying system here. It's a very, very simple system. It gets connected to these desiccant dehumidifiers, and these little nozzles will actually introduce dry air inside a cavity behind plasterwork, saving it. The key benefit there being the plasterboard doesn't have to be removed or replaced, reducing the overall claims time, and therefore not seeing these situations in the future where people have to spend up to 2 years living in caravans. This sort of system prevents that from having to happen.
You've got, there's this little grey contraption down here.
Yes, indeed. This is quite an interesting little unit. This is something that wasn't available actually in 2007. This is something that's been developed since that major flooding event. This is a remote monitoring device. One of the things that customers often felt or fed back to our industry that they felt made them feel sort of more nervous during the restoration process is they didn't know where they were. How's it going? I've had this drying equipment in the property for so long, but is it really starting to have an effect? What these remote monitors do is they have a humidity sensor on the bottom, so you can drill a hole, for example, in a concrete floor that you're trying to dry, and the unit will actually send a text message every 12 hours or so with the humidity readings in that floor. That way the customer can actually log into an internet browser and actually see how the drying is getting along in their property, thus a bit like tracking your parcel, for example. You can log in and see where it's at. These units are now allowing us to do that.
And what other equipment we got here?
Well, without the dehumidifiers do a great job, but they can't do the whole job on their own. You also need air movement in a property to increase the rate of evaporation. It's a bit like blowing across the top of your cup of tea. If you don't have that air movement, the liquid can't evaporate. So also we use various types of blowers. Here's a small one here. Again, this has got an adapted nozzle on, so it can be run also using with the injection drying. But you'll see a number of these in a property. If you've got 2 or 3 dehumidifiers, you might have up to 6 or 7 blowers creating air movement. As I say, they come in various shapes and sizes, so there are some larger units like these snail blowers, for example, that also are used to increase the air movement around a property and therefore speed up the rate of evaporation.